a phone app you guys can go home and download because I know it's on a phone. But you should be able to see me. Red, orange, and yellow guy. Yeah. So this normally works with bridal parties, but that means I'm the hottest thing inside the video right now. So I point that out on purpose. My beard should actually be colder, so it should be a little bit of a darker color. But sorry, the beard is new, so I'm still like, when I watch these videos, I'm like, oh shit, that beard looks weird in there. But anyway. But we're looking for those cold spots. They're going to be blue and black. Yep. So we're looking for them to either take shape or to start moving on their own. When I say taking shape, I want a head, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. Like, that's what we've caught with this guy in the past. That's hopefully what we're going to find tonight. Do I get that every single night? No. I might get 5 to 7 pieces out of this per year. And remember, I'm out here 5 to 7 nights a week. So again, that kind of, I like to throw statistics at you, so that way you kind of understand, like, I'm not here to make shit up. And again, a lot of these things, it's not always going to be a real-time event. It's about catching it when you go through your media. That's why I give it back to you. Only 40% of evidence is caught in real time, just so you know. The other 60 is by going through the data. But anyway, I also put up a blue dot in there. You should see it bouncing around a little bit. It should be right there on that black spot. That's showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that moment. That's the reason why I have this set up that way, because we're looking for that 37 degrees and colder. As you guys know, 37 degrees is pretty damn cold. So hopefully, if we don't find an apparition of somebody walking towards us as a full blue apparition kind of thing, hopefully we have some kind of manifestation starting that we just missed because our camera person was moving either a little too quickly or so forth and so on. So Ken, I think this is going to go to you, because so you don't, I guess with this location you kind of have to keep it on one of us. So this place used to be something relevant to the history, so let's kind of get into it. This place used to be the Charles and Eliza Pinckney Mansion. So their mansion sat in the front of the space facing East Bay Street, and Eliza's garden was lined up with Five Church Restaurant and came all the way across, and we are standing in the servant and slave quarters. So it actually overlapped the median that we have now. So who the hell were Charles and Eliza Pinckney? They had a son named Charles, they had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different chunks. That's why we look for those secondary clues. So that way we know which one, how to direct them, and when we're going to be asking them questions. So, the son and the nephew were signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. Big deal for us, but I hate politics. We're going to move on to Eliza. She has a much better history. So let's get into her history, and then we're going to explore the space. So how this is going to go, you'll kind of get the gist of the formula that I use. Is I'll give you the history, we'll kind of explore the space together. Since we're a nice small group, kind of see what's going on with things. I'll record a couple of notes, and then I'll wrap up with all of the answers to the questions that I'll be throwing out for the communication purposes. So, Eliza marries Charles at a young age according to today's standards. I say it like that because if you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, do not expect numbers from the colonial days that she came from, like 12 and 14, when young ladies got married. Think of today's standards, simply because the husband was over double her age when they married. It was a creepy age gap then, creepy age gap now. So I'm just going to point that out. Remember, I'm not always going to give you the answers. So she married him because her father was over in England. He thinks he's dying, and he's trying to bring all of his children home one last time so you can see him. Eliza doesn't believe he's dying, so she stays put. She gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that particular year to get a green card. We're not a country yet. There's no such thing. So she did marry him out of love. This is a true love story, and this is a place of respect. I don't think I have to tell that to you guys, because obviously for what you guys do, you seem pretty tame. I get some rowdy people that want to go ghost hunting. You get my point. But at the same time, I'll tell you more about this space like before we leave it. But she married him because she doesn't want to, go over to England and gets married to Charles. But she was right. Dad did not die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where you're standing right now. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. That is a plant that makes blue dye that makes your blue jeans blue. Ken's wearing it right now. So that's how we use it today. However, when Eliza got her seeds, she didn't know what the hell to do with them. She had to learn from her servants and slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not warm here all the time. When she learned how to keep it going, she learned how to make the dye, and then moved it to a cash crop just south of here. Got a hold of Dad overseas, told him that the rice plantations that they had were going downhill in price, and that they were going to make a killing with the indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial days. So that's something absolutely unheard of. So this was her home. Here's a couple of things that we're going to kind of cover. With this location, I'd like to keep it very controlled because we don't want to piss off the Pinckney family. The reason why is because we do get a lot of EMF here, so you will be keeping an eye on that red screen pretty much for the entire duration that we're here. Okay, now we're already starting. So, nope. Your phone would literally have to be touching it for it to go off like that. So 3.1, I see a 3.8 at this point, and you're going to keep it escalating. So every time you get a number above what you just had, that's the number I want to know, because I have to write all these down. Okay, so don't give me anything below that 5.1. 3.1, 3.8, 5.1. So focus questions for you guys are going to be, you're going to focus on Eliza's death. You can say things out loud, or you can just focus on it. There's no right or wrong way to do this. So Eliza's death questions that we normally get the answers to: how old she was when she passed away, what she died from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So again, 4 majors, obviously not yes/no answers. So if you're going to ask anything else or focus on anything else, just be respectful. It's the only thing that I ask. As far as yours goes, DARLYN, your communicator, we do have a lot of things that will come up on there supplementary, but if you want to focus on questions, I don't know if you're saying this. Again, it'll just give us random things. But if you want to watch both things at the same time, you can focus on, Eliza was the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. The first wife, Eliza, also had a maiden name that started with the letter L. Let's figure out which Eliza we're dealing with here by focusing on the maiden name. So see if she'll give you the maiden name so we know which Eliza we actually have. So far we have 3 Charleses and 2 Elizas. There's another set of people that all have the same name as well. We'll talk about them later on. EMF, let me quickly explain that so we know what kind of numbers we're actually looking at. That thing measures electricity, just like he mentioned his cell phone. If you were to put that behind your TV set, it's going to go about 40 to 60 milligauss. So that's kind of the average range of a TV set, depending on how much you have plugged into it. If you're standing next to your microwave while it's heating up your food, it's going to be about 150 to 170. The highest I've ever seen that device go in my 12 to 13 years of ghost hunting, I keep losing track, has been at this location, 214 milligauss. I will tell you, we left. We got the hell out of here. Again, these are things that I tell you of why that heated warning. I actually have epilepsy, so too much electricity in the air, I'm not playing around with that. We got out. I told them the answers later on. So the average spike for this location, 5 out of 7 nights a week, is between 18 to 22, which is an astronomical number for being outdoors. So we're in a space where there's no electricity. Even the lights that you see around here are solar lights, so they do not give off EMF. So I've measured every one of them when they're on and off. So again, I test a lot of things. So anything crazy that you can come up with on your camera?
No.
Okay.
Things I'm just trying to keep the sky out of it.
Yep.
Things are running 62, 51.
Compliance. And with that camera, Ken, just so you know, I don't always follow up with it in real time because it is small. I do send it over to YouTube so you guys can watch it on your TV, but I watch it on a computer screen. So with that one, it's wonderful to watch it later on because if something's going to show up on there, it's nice and easy to find when you're watching it on a much larger screen. So if I'm following up with these two because they have communication, it is a real-time thing.
How close those airplanes are?
They're military.
Oh, okay.
You see it all the time.
Like,
Yeah, we got Air Force Base around here.
Do the whole lot. Do you get anything?
No, he told me to keep one of us in it all the time.
Oh, just for a point of reference. If we kind of move out of frame, it's fine. Again, it's your video. You're going to... If I find something, trust me, I'll analyze everything around here because I've visited these places hundreds, if not thousands of times. So, let's kind of take a quick lap and see what else we got going on here. So definitely keep an eye on both of your devices and kind of see what we have going on. Eliza already knows all of your names. I come through here before I meet with you guys every single night, and I'll explain that because we're out of respect. So let's just kind of see what we get out of this location. So Alex, you're really kind of the star of the show, so crank that thing up and just start shouting out whatever you hear.
Yeah, I got
Different than a normal ghost store.
Yeah. Yeah, the last one I was on was pretty hokey.
Nice. Okay, that's your new baseline. Don't give me anything below that.
before it was 5.1.
Right.
Now it's 5.2.
And again, I almost expect it to go between 18 to 22 at some point. I never know where or when, but at this location, that's about the average. Ooh, I should have brought my coat. I thought the sweater was going to be enough tonight.
Got one of each.
We're going to stay in here, DARLYN.
DARLYN, we're staying in here.
We're staying in here for a few.
We're going out there.
We're not going anywhere. We're staying put. We're investigating the space. Alex, anything else coming through?
almost.
Okay. A little vague for me.
It's oddly clear now.
10.9.
10.9. Thank you, Eliza.
20.3.
Told ya. It's almost a nightly thing.
What was the temperature?
So I have written down from the Weather Channel 53 degrees for the 9 o'clock hour.
But what was the one you said?
So 37 and below.
Okay.
Writing in the dark is on my resume now too, because I have to go back and rewrite and like type up all these notes. So I have to make sure it's legible. It's really about Alex right now, like whatever he's hearing. So hopefully he's going to start to see. Like most people are pretty shy at this first location to start telling me all the weird shit that they're hearing, and then they start to open up as we move out through the night. Giant so far is the only one that I find exciting. Yeah.
That was fun. I don't think it was a song. It just was like walking.
Somebody walking?
I heard the like real weird, just kind of walking oddly clear, and then like fuzz back out into the song.
You'll see that thing will pause longer at times.
Yeah, that's what it. Yeah.
Eliza?
And I heard a couple different songs that all like had the theme of like Soldier. Soldier Boy was in there, and then Eminem's Old Toy Soldiers I think popped on for a second.
Okay. It's an interesting piece. So we'll see if something else ties to that. We're going to give this like another 2 minutes to kind of see what else we get out of it. We've already gotten up to a 20, which is good. Ken's going to have a job with me later because he's the most steady cameraman I've ever seen in my life. It's like studying hard.
Well, I'm trying to keep the sky out of
Yeah,
things.
it's not easy. I know, this is one of those spaces where it's almost impossible to do it. And when I'm watching this part of the video, I'm literally watching the walls, simply because it has the heat from the day's sun, so if something cold goes across it, you're definitely going to be able to see it.
Yeah, it's weird. So I'm getting like a...
It's one of them. No, I want to say that is, you're probably thinking of the Vending.
Yeah.
That one's about half a mile.
So I'm getting like a 37 degree temperature right up there. 36. You see it up in the upper left?
You have the window.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, you got a window.
It's one cold window.
Well, wind hits it, it's going to go pretty cold. And it's not moving either.
Yeah,
So,
well, that was the thing. It wasn't moving.
Yeah.
So I was like,
yeah, 37, if it goes 37, 36, 34, then I'm like, oh, we have something that's moving, and it's in that 15 plus degree temperature range.
See another window up there. Yeah, that one's saying 20.
Yeah, they get cold.
Yeah.
Alex, it's on you. What do you got?
I don't know. When I walked past a spot, that one could be coincidence or not, but I got a weight. Like, what did they say?
We will get directions.
Somebody said wait when I walked past,
Okay.
and then it was some Drake song about movement came on right as I took another step.
The soldier thing is interesting. You're probably just missing things in real time.
Yeah.
And that's perfectly fine, because again, you don't know all of this history. Secondly, I only know 90% of it. When you guys tell me this weird stuff that comes up, when you guys give me a name like Sam, like, I don't know who the hell Sam is. I'm not going to look into it. I am. But it's not going to be for like super long, because I do have, the quick drop resources to like, oh, let me just hit the find button for the name Sam or Samuel or
Right,
anything
right.
like that. So if I do a quick search for it just to see what's going on, we're still within like that 4 to 5 range, huh? So I am going to write down like the fact that he heard a theme of soldiers and then the word weight. But I think we can probably call this one a wrap. We didn't have like the super high spikes coming out of here. I mean, we did get to 20, which is good. But Eliza just might not be very talkative tonight. So I'm going to take you to the back. I'm going to give you the answers for this location.
Do you want me to stop recording?
Yeah, you can go ahead and stop yours.
Oh, okay. So a minute ago I was like, is that James Brown coming through? When I stopped him,
He's not going to know who the artist is.
So, Okay.
Definitely not going to know who the artist is. It's about the lyrics. What I normally point out here is if you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it's not coincidence. We get it all the time. So anyway, Dr. Ladd moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a shit ton of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash flow she just got. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda to get rid of the doctor. Dr. Ladd stand close.
What, 60 or 70 was 71?
Well,
And
we're at
the
a whole
year
new
was
location.
69 for the, but in the Elijah.
Right, so she was 70. But this location, he was actually, Dr. Ladd was born in 1760.
Folks.
Yeah, damn close. That's why I was like, it's a close but no cigar. Like, I have to be on point. So unless he has the number 4 that just showed up that he missed in real time, because again, those, you never know where the answers are going to go. So it could be 60 and then you had a 4. That's kind of how I would look at that. I'm not going to be looking for that 4, but if I do find it, then I'll count it. But anyway, back to Dr. Ladd. So on his way into town, because he's coming down here to prove that he's not after Amanda's cash flow. So on his way in, the coachman he had set him up to be robbed and killed. It's kind of like having a really bad Uber driver, right? So somebody was walking by. His name was Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph. Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, Rhode Island. Ralph Isaacs.
3 weeks.
So the letters RI were showing up all the time on regular spirit boxes, so I bought a new device. It's basically a digital Ouija board. So anytime there's an EMF spike, it gives us a letter. We were getting the letters RI every time I brought up Ralph. We've had it about 6 times in the past 9 months. So kind of take that for what it's worth. But anyway, again, I give you different details in other ghost tours because you're ghost hunting. You're not on the campfire marshmallow kind of ghost tour. But anyway, back to Ralph. He tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me. We're going to go to 59 Church Street, and you can rent a room from friends of mine, and you'll be safe and good to go. Doc took him up on the offer. The 2 gentlemen are now friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not after... I don't know who Jim is. So he's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. He's going to make his own. So Amanda gets wind of this, and she's moving down soon so they could be married. Dr. Ladd then became known as the Whistling Doctor. What I'm going to tell you, and another reason why I'm taking this out of my route, is because whistling ghosts are a big cliche. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit is going to have one.
Through the graveyard.
Right. Yeah, it's always going to be a thing. We do get a lot of things about the Whistling Doctor, though. I'll explain once we get through the history. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. That's the hierarchy of Charleston. He gets better seats. So they go see Richard III one night, and they're arguing on the way home, just walking through the streets of Charleston about the new actress that was here in town.
Yeah.
Dr. Ladd thought she was great.
I got it. Like 2 minutes ago, so like 3 weeks came in like very clearly, and then moved on, and then you just said the third.
Richard
the play.
Okay. I would be more excited if we also had Richard.
Okay.
So I see. Yeah. See where.
Along.
See, this is why you guys keep me around, so to make sure we're not stretching things like James Brown in 3 weeks. You know, I want Richard in 3rd, and then I want 60 and 4. I want it to be exact. To make sure like we actually have legitimate pieces. So, but anyway, Dr. Ladd thought this actress was great and Ralph didn't. So they started arguing, and then Ralph is then insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island. It got really ugly. They went their separate ways. But Ralph has friends around town. He listed a newspaper and places an ad telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of you're a disgrace to society kind of bullshit, right? Doc saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. That's where you're standing right now. This was one of the many spots that they actually had duels because it was illegal back in the 1700s. So he says, we're going to settle this, and one of us is going to die. So they came down here, they took their 10 paces away from each other, they turned, and the doctor pointed his gun in the air. He shot his one shot. He did not want to kill his friend. What was that before that? Because he just changed.
I think you were saying he pointed the gun, and it said aim. Yeah.
He also had war. So Ralph has his designer. Ralph has this one bullet still. He puts it in the kneecap of the doctor. The doctor died. He fell to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he died 10 days later, November 2nd, 1786, after refusing medical treatment. I'll point out 2 things. In 1786, gunshot wounds are a lot different than what we know of them as now. He's also a doctor. He probably just thought he had lead poisoning and tried to bleed it out himself, but he failed because he died. Now, every ghost tour will tell you to listen for the whistles while you're down here. I will tell you, with our spirit boxes, I have caught a whistling part of a song and the word doctor from a commercial thereafter. So doctor. I get it all the time. Probably dozens to be, if I've never counted them all, but 4 years I've been coming here, it's literally been dozens of times. So I will, every tour, by the way, with the whistling going on, if you're going to try this on your own and try to walk all the way through the alley, I can't take you all the way through because I've been kicked out of here. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. You guys will appreciate that as being previous tour guides. At the same time, remember that every local knows the story. So if you use your voice recorders and you get a whistle in the background, just make sure it wasn't somebody walking by on one of the streets, because we all do it. My office is up this way. My old garage is that way. So I used to throw a whistle down here at 3 to 4 o'clock every single morning when I was done with your guys' data, just for shits and giggles, especially since I got thrown out of here. Let's talk about that, because that's the fun part of the story. Now, this alley didn't go all the way through the way we came in. There was a wall up there. The reason why is because this used to be called Cow Alley. That's why I got excited about the word cow. We were on our way here. So, this is where they kept the livestock. Cows and chickens were down here. So that means the bricks down at the other end, down by Queen Street, are older than the ones we're standing on. Those are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child down there, along with fingerprint swipes and others. I used to take my groups all the way down there just for a history lesson, nothing paranormal, simply because I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid's not there. It's the last place you're going to find him. However, November 26th, 2020, my entire group of 10 is huddled around one brick, waiting for something to happen with their devices that I hung down. Nothing's happening, and I'm trying to shoo them along because it's also outside the dining room window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. I was trying to be respectful, not realizing I was out of bounds for tours. The new owner of that mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night and her dad's getting yelled at. And we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I used to work for Walmart for over 10 years in upper management. You guys like to fight over towels and scarred me for life. I'm never working on Thanksgiving ever again. The next day was the 28th. The dates are relevant. I'm going to get to it. I got a hold of my partner that I had at the time, and I told him what happened about the new owner of that mansion. He laughed his ass off just like my daughter did. And he said, dude, you're only allowed to go down halfway. Otherwise, it's residential, and it's out of bounds for us. Reroute your group. So I had to come up with something quick. Yeah. So I told my team that night, I'm not into the next story because I've never had anything happen there with my devices, and I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. Obviously, we're going to be discussing pirates next. But before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them which pirate we were going to be investigating. The famous female pirate, Anne Bonny. Keep in mind, this was all brand new.
What does that say?
Discrimination. Maybe relevant to the story
about Anne. For sure. But when we get up and around the corner, somebody else heard the number 300. I don't know what that means. So I write it down, I research it for them. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. The exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. Now, most people are pretty impressed by that, which is exactly what I tell you, but I was actually pissed off. The reason why, I have a master's degree in creative writing. When I'm writing even fiction, and especially when I'm doing this, I need facts and data. Pirate stories come from pirate lore, which were written 100 years after the, what do you have now? Brave. 100 years after these pirate occurrences, right? So I have read more books on pirates, watched more documentaries. I'm even playing freaking video games on pirates just to get more versions of the damn story to make sure like what we're doing is accurate out here. It is a roll of the dice if Anne will be there at the same time that we will be, but the story is super fun, and we will be able to explore it like what we did at the Pinckney Mansion site and get answers from hopefully Dr. Ladd. So you're going to realize that. So before we leave the space, because I know this is a weird location that we're just here to kind of stir things up and talk about Doctor, but I like to point out the gate, which is the reason why I stop here. Remember I told you the alley didn't go all the way through that way. So if there was a loser to the duel, a dead guy, this was a shortcut to get to the cemetery on the other side of this wall. Otherwise, they got to go all the way down to Queen Street with the dead body and then double back to go drop them off before they can go celebrate with the winner. So, not a whole lot of people. This is actually just a corner. To the left is a cemetery, but just right over there. This runner being called quicker in the early 1900s. You can see that the archway is all original. So they have a little bit of a support piece up there. Yeah, it is original. And there's rumors of all kinds of famous skulls down here, but I can't find any proof of any. We all like the Whistling Doctor story, so we're going to stick with it. Ken, you can continue recording as we kind of move to the next location if you want to, because we're only going up around the corner. It's up to you. But Alex, definitely listen in. Did you hear anything else besides 3 weeks?
Happy and healthy.
He was not happy and healthy.
That one popped out twice.
hard to walk in.
Don't
It's steady.
because you're looking through it.
No, I'm looking over it.
I'm watching you.
I'm going back and forth. That's one cold car.
I know why people use that to break.
What?
See that? It's like they just close the gap.
Yeah. Is that my parking garage?
Huh?
Is that my parking garage? It is.
Yeah, that's our hotel right there. I like that they do those. For Church Street.
Picture takers or not, but that is our tallest steeple that we have. So that's St. Philip's Church. So I just when we have a full moon, it actually usually sits right next to the steeple. Like great for social media stuff for me. I use those pics all the time.
I didn't like that one. Thrillers started playing as we walked up to the.
You guys can have a seat and take a load off for this one if you want to. We're going to cover the history and then we'll actually explore the space, but we're going to be talking about this building here primarily. So what's going on with your word list? We haven't looked at
It
it.
just says reservation.
Kind of talked about where else you were going, right? So we're kind of I like aiming straight. Same place. Okay.
You want to
Sit
sit down,
down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
seat.
Do you want me to continue recording?
You can if you want. So, did you guys notice the big giant crosses on this building right here?
Mhm.
Those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're not familiar with those,
They're
basically
what?
earthquake bolts.
Oh.
They're turnbuckles, really. So they go all the way through the building and look just like that on the other side. So if we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886 that I mentioned prior, which we have not, by the way, you can turn those turnbuckles, and it's supposed to tighten the building back up so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea. It just doesn't work. So the only reason I point these ones out is because it's part of the reason why we're here. These are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston actually put in because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina.
Oh,
It's
is
finished.
this that gunpowder building
It
or
is.
whatever?
Yep. So it was finished in 1713, and we're here simply because this building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start her new life. So this is what I call a familiar. So in essence, they use this new device on the TV shows. It looks like a teddy bear, but it has a little blinky light EMF meter in it. So if a little child ghost comes near it, it will go off. They have it designed now to where if it touches the bear, it'll say, "Hey, that tickles," and that kind of weird, creepy shit, right? So think of that concept of the child recognizing the teddy bear with this building. We don't have any buildings this old that Anne Bonny would recognize from her era, which is why we're here. Again, it's a roll of the dice. I'm going to move my bag closer, like $3,000 a year, 1,000 in my eyesight. But anyway, so the building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? Nah, not
That's
at all.
pretty
I'll answer
good.
for you. There's a lot that goes into the architecture of this that I don't go into anymore because it can be very dry and boring for most. But anyway, so right in the middle of this building's construction is where the history actually begins. So kind of try to follow me on this one. There's a lot of twists. I'll slow down on the twist, but I will breeze through the rest of the story so you guys can get back to work. Now, 1708, a young list, and obviously the communication go here, let me know. Ken, if you see any static lines like an old tube TV set, let me know. That camera has acted up in this location several times, so it'd be interesting if we got it again. It's been quite a while, I would say over a year, but I've been coming here since 2020, obviously, since I got kicked out of the last location.
That spiked to 9.9 a second ago. It just flipped to my 9 right back down.
I'll take a 9.9. That's actually astronomical. Remember that this is not the Pinky Mansion where we're going to get those 18 to 22, so I'm excited about it too. 2.5. So,
Putting it on top of it.
yeah, it actually would. When the phone sends out a signal to go to a tower, that's when you'll get a spike. But it'll normally be between like 11 to 20, or roughly. So that's why I went straight. I was like, I was excited about that 9. So yeah, crank those headphones up and tell me what you get. This location can either work out really well or it works to be really dead. We never know. That's why if we're not going to get a whole lot out of it, especially from Alex, then we move on. We go to the next location. So, what do you think? A lot different than what you've been doing?
Oh, yeah. This is different. Yeah.
You should really consider going to vaping. It's way cheaper. Way cheaper.
Everything's way cheaper. I should just stop.
I'm telling you, this is it's a tobacco flavor. Like it's a Cuban cigar flavor.
Yeah.
It tastes just like a Marlboro Red.
Yeah, I should just stop.
It hits just like a Marlboro Red.
My doctor's like so on my case. It's ridiculous. I'm diabetic too, so it's
Oh yeah, none of that helps.
just one more nail in my coffin, so to speak. Should have worn a light pair of gloves. It's actually should have worn a light pair of gloves.
I got my heated gloves coming in tomorrow. I used to put like those hot hands on my gloves
Yeah.
and just cut the fingers off because I need to operate the equipment. But I was like, you know what? I'm buying a lot of hot hands. Like,
It's not that.
got some heated gloves.
It's not even cold.
It is if you're out here a while.
It's 53. That's not bad.
It's cold for us, man. Your blood thins when you move down here.
Yeah. Well, when I first moved to California, it was hilarious. I mean, I'd be on the beach in January, and everybody else was, shuttered up.
I was like
Yeah.
that my first year here. After that, we get cold. It was colder at home than it is down here. It's usually about 5 to 7 degrees colder out there.
Yeah.
Out there by the lake. So when I left, it said 47. I was like, oh shit. Good thing I got my coat in the car. But when I got down here, I was like, I'll be fine. What do you got?
Golden?
Golden Age of Piracy?
I was asking hair color,
Not golden.
not golden. I didn't think so. It
It's
seemed
not
a
always
little.
going to be a direct answer either.
No, it seemed a little too. It was like, yeah.
But I do like the word golden when we're talking about the Golden Age of Piracy. Just think of the cliche of an Irish woman, red hair and green eyes. It is red hair, green eyes. So,
That's what I was waiting for, like strawberry or
Yep.
like something like that.
oh yeah, we've gotten direct reds here. What do you got going on over there?
Nothing.
Nothing? No words?
Stones, it's been there for
Been
a
there
long
for a
time.
minute? Let's do a quick lap and see what we can get. Again, I'd like to at least give it a good honest try before we leave the space. By the way, there's earthquake bolts in a lot of our buildings. Even this apartment building has them on every floor.
Yeah.
So these are more modern. You guys will see them all over town with pineapples and lion heads and bullshit on them. That's just the Charleston charm bullshit you guys will see around town. But a lot of them would just be squares like this. You'll hear about those tomorrow on your carriage ride tours.
Are they rods to the house?
Yep. And
Yeah.
actually,
So
with this
we,
one,
we
They
had
have
that in
those,
Newburyport.
No, Alexandra, Virginia.
Is that? You see the like 3 different houses here as they built it up.
so this, the gunpowder magazine didn't always hold gunpowder. So in between, it was like office buildings or it was a textile. So they used this as storage.
Is this the back of the previous building?
Yes.
Okay. And then it looks like they made a new building. Right. This is building 3 or 4.
Right. So they kept going, and this brick wall that you guys are sitting on actually went up. So it's probably part of the indentation
Got it.
of where those bricks will be. And that brick wall used to come all the way down. I want to say they took it down in the early 1900s.
And these are for the tightening rods.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what those little
Yeah,
things
we see that in a lot of buildings in the Northeast as well.
Tightening rods?
Well, they're not called tightening. They're kind of a stabilizing rod.
Okay.
So what it does is it keeps the ends of the building from bowing in some fashion.
Yeah, but that's because ours is built on water.
I don't know why.
Well, the odd thing about this building right here is there's earthquake bolts on all 4 sides. So
Yeah.
they crisscross
Oh yeah,
going in between the floorboards.
yeah.
Huh.
Usually you'll see it on the ends of the house.
Yeah.
Up north, and it's and you see it on wooden structures as well as
Because that's going to bow with all of those
Yeah.
water areas.
so and on the brick and stone structures, it may have just been a carryover from the wooden. Who
Fair.
knows?
How many earthquakes do you get here?
We don't. That's the funny joke about it. I mean, we get little tiny, it might be like a point something on a
Right, a
Richter.
tremor.
Yeah. Really all it is just a tremor. But we don't. That's the whole joke.
No reason to have buildings built.
Well, they wanted to make sure that the oldest government building was protected. So that's the reason why they started it. Now remember that earthquake was in 1886. The building was built in 1713. So it's 100.
Oh, so they. Okay. I got it.
So I mean, we're talking, what, 160 years later?
Yeah.
I mean, but I want to say it was put there in 1893.